The Russian Federation is currently experiencing a deep systemic transformation that is effectively bringing the post-Soviet oligarchic era to an end and replacing it with a new model of state-directed asset liquidation. According to American expert Jason J. Smart, this shift is being driven by acute liquidity shortages, shrinking budget revenues, and the gradual depletion of sovereign wealth reserves. In response, Russia's Federal Security Service has begun what he describes as a coordinated and aggressive takeover of the country's most profitable commercial sectors. Smart argues that this process should not be seen as chaotic or purely political repression, but rather as a calculated form of economic receivership applied to the entire national economy. In this framework, the security services are moving to take direct control over critical sources of hard currency, including energy export terminals, maritime logistics routes, and key elements of the banking system. The objective, he says, is to secure immediate cash flows needed to sustain the state and finance ongoing military operations. This internal redistribution of capital clearly shows that the Kremlin is prioritizing short-term regime survival over any notion of long-term economic stability, Smart explained. He noted that the forced transfer of assets from private owners to state-linked structures, combined with a growing number of suspicious deaths among senior executives and business figures, amounts to the systematic dismantling of the business elite. As a result, the state is effectively destroying its own tax base by eliminating the very private wealth that once generated revenue. From the perspective of global energy markets and international investors, Smart warns that this transformation represents a dramatic and dangerous increase in sovereign risk. The closure of exit routes for wealthy individuals, the freezing of capital, and the seizure of corporate assets suggest that Russia no longer operates as a market economy in any meaningful sense. Instead, it is evolving into a rigid command system focused almost exclusively on extracting resources to fund the war effort. Smart emphasized that the consequences of this shift extend well beyond Russia's borders. As the so-called shadow fleet and export mechanisms fall under the direct control of the security services, the reliability and predictability of global oil and gas supply chains are likely to deteriorate further. He described the situation as the final severing of Russia's integration with the global financial system, trapping domestic capital inside an increasingly closed and coercive structure. In his view, these dynamics are accelerating the timeline toward a potential systemic collapse reminiscent of Russia's 1998 financial crisis, but with far more severe and violent internal consequences. He added that recent developments support this assessment, including reports that the Federal Security Service has ordered Russian banks to install advanced surveillance systems. These systems, known as SORM, will allow authorities to monitor customer communications by intercepting messages, calls, videos, and other digital content. Banks have reportedly been instructed to fully implement this technology by 2027, further underscoring the tightening state control over both the economy and society.